People think that they fail at building habits because they lack willpower. But what they don't understand is that it really comes down to the brain and neuroscience. So if you've ever been stuck in that loop of getting started super strong, dropping off, and then that cycle repeats, this episode's for you. So talking about habit building and longevity is where we're going to go. But with me today, I want to introduce my co-host, John Probst, who runs my office. And so, what better person to host this new podcast with me than the person who's by my side every single day and really understands the ups and downs of what it takes to keep all of this going, keep that momentum, and really believe in everything that we're talking about. So, John, say hi.
Hey everybody. Dr. Jess, why do habits matter so much for longevity?
So, when we talk about longevity, what we're talking about is health span. So, it's not just about how long do you live, but it's the quality of the years that you have. And so, habits, what we know in the areas of exercise and eating and stress management and all of these wonderful areas are what makes the difference. Now, does it prevent every bad thing from happening? No. But does it make the likelihood of preventing chronic conditions and preventing things that can really pull you downhill from happening? Yeah. And so every decision comes down to, you know, do I do this? Do I not? And when things become more habit based, especially the things that are going to help you grow and learn in a positive direction, we want that to be habitual. We want them to be positive and not necessarily things that'll kind of push us downhill.
So, what does the nervous system have to do with it?
So if we think of, I love the nervous system. So if we think of the nervous system as it's just like a bunch of paths in the woods. And so there's these neurons that fire in our brain and it tells our brain, hey, what do I do here? So if I like walk into the kitchen, right? I'm going to be like, oh, I walk in here because I'm hungry. Versus if I walk into my office, it's because, oh, I'm going to sit and work. And so we've got all these patterns that we've already developed and so, depending on time of day, our environment, there's a lot of different cues that our body uses to become habitual with whatever we do. And so, I like to think of that as when we're building a new habit, as we're building a trail in the woods, because it takes time to build a trail that lasts. So, the first time we go and we're like clearing the land and we're getting roots out of the way, leaves out of the way, we're going to think, we're like, oh, yeah, like I'm feeling good about this. And then there's gonna be things that are gonna happen that we couldn't predict. It's gonna rain, the wind's gonna blow. Maybe we don't visit that trail for the period of time that we thought we were. So we're like, oh, I'm gonna do this every day. And then 2 weeks go by and we don't walk on the trail and it's almost covered up and we can't even see it anymore. So we did all of that work and now we can't find it. So that's how neuronal pathways work in our brain. The more we travel on that trail and the more we go back and forth on the trail, becomes more and more and more ingrained until eventually it can stand up to the test of time, which is it can stand up to storms. It can stand up to you being able to not see it for a couple of weeks at a time. It can stand up to all of the stressors that are going to happen and it's not going to fall apart and you're not going to lose it. But that takes time. And that's the brain part of habits.
So, what makes the body decide that it's safe to change?
Well, that's now we're going to go a little bit more with nervous system into what we call our autonomic nervous system. And so this is just that resting nervous system of am I heightened? Am I in that sympathetic response? Or am I in that more like kind of rest and digest? Like I'm kind of more relaxed, I'm more chill. So anytime we're in that a little bit more heightened, stressed, like kind of, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, our body does not want anything new then. It doesn't want challenge. It doesn't want to have to think outside the box. It really is just trying to survive the moment. And oftentimes we kind of live there. I mean, I'm guilty of it just as anybody else. It's like I've got stuff going on in my background, and then all of a sudden John will come in and he'll say, like, oh, hey, by the way, there's this change that I want you to think about. It might be in the schedule, it might be in whatever we had planned to do. And if I'm already a little bit heightened, he'll meet me in a place where I'm not as likely to want to be challenged. Versus when I'm in that like, no, I'm chill, I'm good, and he comes in and like says, "Oh hey, by the way, I want to change X, Y, or Z." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, makes totally fine." It depends on my autonomic nervous system and where I am. And so there's an amount of self awareness that we're always working on, myself included, of like, I need to make sure that like I recognize one, where I am, and then two, intentionally, like, let me hear what this is. Let me hear what this change is. It might be something I'm trying to impose on myself or something that somebody's trying to impose on me, which is somebody giving you advice or, hey, do this with me, that kind of thing. So just say, like, I need a minute. To like, I need a pause and I need to somehow self-regulate so that I can better hear what you're saying without the resistance that I'm sensing that I just have resistance right now, and it's not necessary. I can tell whatever you're asking is not that ridiculous.
It never
So
is.
it never is. I'm just like I can tell that when I'm like resistance, it's just my autonomic nervous system, and I know that. So we do grounding techniques, breathing techniques, all sorts of different things to say, whoa, why am I all over the place? Bring it back down. And that's we'll do all sorts of episodes about this kind of stuff too when we interview mental health counselors because there's so much to learn and unpack there. Um, but that's when it comes down to when you want to make even a small change, being aware of like, where am I currently resonating? Am I a little heightened? Nothing's going to happen here. Am I able to chill? Now that's when, more or less, you're going to be more receptive.
That's why I bring you water sometimes.
Always. And food.
If you're not yourself, you're dehydrated
Yeah,
and
we're hungry.
malnourished.
I know, I know. He're like, here's, do you want to eat something first? That means something's coming after that. Yeah,
Absolutely, especially if it's something sweet.
absolutely.
So, Dr. Jess, let's get into the nitty gritty. So, how are habits actually formed?
So typically, if we're actually talking about a sustainable habit that's formed and not just like a real fast and then it falls off, like an actual sustainable habit that forms, is you're always going to start with something small. So you might identify something big that you want to be able to do. Like, I want to be able to drink 8 glasses of water a day, and right now I drink one. Right. So that's a big change. That's not anything small. It seems small. People always say this. I know it's not big. I'm like, that's a huge difference in your day on a day-to-day basis. That's an incredible change. So start small. So whatever it is that's pretty big, if you dial it back to doing one small change, so that's going to be much more sustainable and the start of creating that neuronal pathway. So saying, okay, I want to do 1 extra glass of water per day, then typically you tie that to something that you're already doing in your day. So already at lunch, I get up to pee, right? So I've got a water cooler that's very close to the bathroom. So I'm already walking past that. That's the perfect time to fill my glass. And so I can use triggers in my day to help me think, oh wait, I'm already in a transition. Let me add my new thing to this transition because you're never going to remember when you're in the middle of something. Then you tie that into environment. And so you find ways to use your environment to help you. So in my environment, specifically in my office, I've put this thing that it's attached to the water line in the building. So like never have to refill it. It's never gonna run out. So because I'm never gonna replace that whole thing. It's gonna sit there empty for a while. Or honestly, John would do it because
Most
oh
likely.
yeah, that's just how it works. So that way I know I'm always going to be able to fill that in my environment. From there, that's when it starts becoming like, oh, okay, now every time I go to the bathroom, I start thinking, oh, I should fill my water cup. So then you start building on that. Then you start saying, okay, what other barriers might I need to remove? Well, maybe in the morning, I'm not drinking anything because I don't have my cup in front of me. I don't know. Like maybe when I get in the car, I need to have a cup of water to drink on my way to work. And you start trying to identify like what has been getting in my way for this? And so identify the barriers, make a plan for the barriers, and then slowly increase whatever your goals are. And so for me, every time I walk past the water cooler, I really try and make an effort of filling that cup up. I leave the cup visually in front of me so that way I can see that I'm drinking it. And from there, I also I try and drink a cup on the way to work and I drink a cup on the way home from work because that's a transition for me. I'm already in the car. I can't do anything else. Might as well drink a cup of water. And so then all of a sudden, that change that seemed like, how in the world am I going to do 8? You've built it right into your day, and then it didn't even seem hard. And so that's the pathway. And then you create it over and over and over. And then all of a sudden, every time you walk down the hallway, you think, oh, I should drink water. And it didn't even like, you didn't make yourself do it. You just did it. Isn't that beautiful? It's like the
It
brain, it's
really
so crazy.
is.
And there's so many strategies that you can use, and it really helps a lot.
So how do we build habits that actually stick?
So, in addition to all of that, which is going to be helpful for your day and the transitions, the other thing that's really helpful is having some sort of an accountability partner. And so it could be accountability, might be self accountability of like, I'm going to journal this, I'm going to write it down, I'm going to track my progress. That can be, some people are do really well with that kind of stuff. Some people are like, ah, feels like homework, I don't want to do it. Everybody's different. An accountability partner can just be somebody that's safe to you that you are going to report to and say, I'm so proud of myself that I did X, Y, or Z. And that person's going to understand the cue that you're giving, which is like, I need you to celebrate with me. Um, so they're going to read between the lines. Or it's somebody that's going to do it with you. So maybe you both are on the challenge together. So, like a running partner, a workout partner, somebody that you work with that also wants to drink more water, all of these types of people that might have a similar goal in life at that phase of life that can actually be helpful to you. As long as they're not somebody that's going to go so strong and they're not going to stay on the rhythm that you're staying. If they're like, okay, like today we have to do 8 classes, it's our first day and we're starting, then you're going to say, okay, that's really good for you, but my goal is one. And so kind of help to be the guide. Because otherwise they can start to drag you into that, roller coaster that happens. And the other thing that is like key is celebrating. Celebrating the small wins. It doesn't matter how small the win is, allow yourself to be proud and celebrate because then your brain releases dopamine and dopamine feels good. And that way you're going to tie the feeling good to the win associated with the habit that you're trying to create. So I'm telling you, I know it sounds silly like drinking water, but like I'm terrible at drinking water. It's like one of those things. It can't be that hard. I'm not that good at it. So every time I fill my glass, I actually do like a little dance. And I even tell my patients, I'm like, I'm so proud of myself right now. I'm filling this cup. Do you know how great this is? This is awesome. I love this. And they're like, great. I'm like, thanks. I know. Anyway, how are you? So like, it's like, be okay with celebrating. You're not like being like a jerk about it. You're just saying, like, I'm proud of like what I'm doing right now because this is a struggle for me. So that is it, then it really does. I promise it creates that like I now feel good when I do this. So you'll start to seek it.
So what can we do right now to get started?
So right now, one, you just identify one thing that you would like to do differently. So like I said, it could be water, it could be increasing. So let's say like you want to increase activity. Are you starting from nothing or are you starting with something and you want to build it? So just kind of like maybe it's something related to food of like I want to eat a whole foods diet, let's say is your goal. But currently you're eating a lot of pre-made, pre-processed foods. To jump from like that to like a whole foods diet is an insane amount of work. Like I've done it, I've done the shift and it's just my lifestyle. It's what I do. But it took me a while to get into that rhythm. So identify one, what is it that you would like? Take a step back and find the smallest aspect of that you can say, I could start on this in the next today or the next day or two. Like it can't be harder than that because you'll never stick to it. And then use all those strategies of like start small, pair it to something that you're already doing a transition, use your environment to help, identify the barriers that are going to be in your place and like in the way. Find an accountability partner of some way, whether you're writing it down in a journal or finding a human, and then celebrate those small wins. And all of that, when you actually stick to it, it'll work. It will.
So what's one micro habit that you want to try?
So for my like micro habits right now, I'm kind of working on I'm always working on stress management. I balance a lot. It's a lot of juggling. So which can make it difficult for me to fall asleep. And so I have a habit that's not a good habit of turning on my computer at night and then I start thinking about work and what needs to get done and then I don't sleep very well. So my micro habit is that I'm not doing that. And instead, I'm setting my alarm to wake up earlier in the morning so that with a fresh mind and I'm not so tired that I can look through whatever I need to look through before I start patients for the day. Um, and multifold, it's helping me sleep better. I'm more rested and I'm way more productive in the morning than I am at night. But that micro habit kind of boils down to stress management and being able to identify how am I going to keep my stress levels down? Well, I have to recover and I have to know when I'm going to be productive. I've got to identify my barriers and then make a plan, and then and hook it into a transition I'm already doing, which is setting an alarm to wake up. And then from there, then you start implementing. So, do I have to be perfect with it every single night? No, no, there's some nights I just have to do it, I have to look. Not and I've gotten way better at it. So I used to be really bad about opening my computer at night, and now I've gone, like, a good while without after the kids go to bed, I have not opened my computer in probably a couple weeks. I'm super proud of myself. Yeah.
So sometimes we are pressured into making changes, and sometimes we kind of know in the back of our mind that we need to make a change and make new habits. But how do we really know if our nervous system is ready to start that new habit?
It's like you can feel if there's a big resistance to it. Like if you're trying to, if you find yourself thinking of every single way that it's not going to work or why it's going to fail, or like all of that negative self talk associated around starting making the plan, then that's a barrier that you've got to try and, take some steps back and figure out why are you doing that? So, are you doing this for yourself or are you doing it for somebody else? If you're doing it for somebody else, it's not going to be a habit. You won't keep up with it. It's got to be for yourself. Um, do you believe that you can do it? If you don't believe that you can do it, you're not going to be able to do it. The mind body connection is too strong. So you'll find a way to fail, right? And it'll be this like, see, I knew it, right? I knew that. You're proving what you already believed. And so take a step back. Do you actually believe that you can do it? Then, if all of that is like identified and then you make a plan for that, then you'll know you're like, okay, now I'm ready to go. Like, but it just we all have to do that sometimes, you know? I oh, I'm resistant to everything. Like, really, I am. And I'm like, okay, pause, stop, think, breathe, reassess. Why are you pushing this away when it might be an opportunity? So consider it, I would say, consider it an exercise. You're not committing, you're considering an exercise. Allow yourself to think through what this looks like, and then make your choice. But don't make the choice of yes or no until you've really thought it through all the way.
And so when you do that, and then if you get to the point where your nervous system is ready, your body is ready, your mind is ready, how important is it to actually celebrate every win?
Oh, you still have to. Every win. Like every small step along the way. Otherwise, it's so easy to think, well, I'm not going to celebrate. I'm not going to celebrate that. It wasn't that big of a deal. So you keep moving that goalpost so that you end up putting this like more and more and more on to the point where you feel like unless you're hitting perfection, that you can't celebrate. And so it's not real life. I mean, I don't drink 8 glasses of water every single day. Um, like every time I drink a glass of water, I'm like, "Yes, 1 more, 2 for the day." Like some days I get 8, some days I get 2. You know what? On the days that I get 2, I do not cry about it. I don't, because 'cause I'm like, "You know what? Tomorrow's a new day. You didn't crush it today and you got 2. That's more than 0." So it's really like if you don't allow yourself to do that, you'll just feel like unless I'm perfect, then it's not worth it. And it's always worth it. A little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing every single day. One is more than none. And so I challenge myself every single time. I probably say that to myself at least once a day, as like, what, Jess, remember, my run wasn't fast enough. I'm like, huh, it's not that it wasn't fast enough. I ran today. Like, who cares what the pace was? Come on. Like, get over yourself. And then then I chuckle a little and I'm like, haha, okay. So we all do it, so it's like, just be honest and say, okay, I'm going to see what I'm doing. It's okay. I am allowed to celebrate even on days where I run slower than normal. Hey, there we go. Anyway, felt it. It's over. Move on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So walk us through a quick and dirty version of making habits from the top to the celebration.
So at the top, identify what is the habit. Make sure that you feel like you believe that it can change and that you don't find yourself resisting whatever that is. If all of that is met, break it down to the smallest thing that you could implement today or in the next day or two. Because sometimes it does require like going to the store. Let's say it's like a food thing, right? Or exercise, and you want to kind of maybe you need equipment, or like sometimes like you really can't just do it right now. But it needs to be pretty immediate that you can do that very, very quick change. So identify small, get started with that. When you're going to schedule that in your day is associated with a transition. Sometime you're already moving from one thing to the next. Make sure that you use your environment to help you, not make it harder for you. Use accountability in some way. Celebrate every small anything. And even that little mental celebration. That's most of my celebration is like, you got it. Way to go. I'm proud of you, right? So like it just keeps you positive, and it helps you not let the negative define your day or define your moment. If you let it define you, it's you're gonna complain about everything. You're not gonna see the positive that's right in front of you. Um, and then as that becomes easy, put it up a notch. Then as that becomes easy, put it up a notch. And then once you're like at that goal and you're just doing it automatically and you're like, "Oh wow, like this is great. Like this isn't hard anymore." That's when you can work on identifying something new to work on. But you don't want to spread yourself so thin with a whole bunch of different things at once. Because it's like when you're trying to create trails. You can't hike on all these trails every single day to keep them all like going like they're supposed to go. One's going to overgrow. And then you're going to go, oh, wait. And they're going to spend all this time like fixing that one. And then the other ones overgrow. And then then you end up feeling like, oh, this is so much work and I'm failing at all of it. And then you quit. So really like get super, super diligent about one, get it ingrained, and then start on the other ones. And you just do that. And that's the journey of life. I are never, ever, ever stop working on something. Because we can always do things that are better. So, and better for us. New knowledge comes to your mind, new knowledge comes out. Who knows? A research article comes out, and you're like, huh, who knew? This was like so great to prevent Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's runs in my family. So I should think about this, right? So it's like you never know what the next change is going to be, or you might, but just be open to like whatever comes in front of you. If it makes sense, for you, and it's going to have a better lifespan for you, um, give it a try.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dr. Jess.
Of course. So if this is something that you found helpful, and there's somebody in your life that you might want to share with, go ahead and do that. It might help you find an accountability partner. And stay tuned for more episodes just talking about longevity and talking to people that are really passionate about it.